Imagine for a moment a single copper coin, smaller than a thumbnail, hidden away in an old jar or passed down in a family collection, quietly worth more than most homes in America today. Now, what if I told you that a single 1942 no mint mark wheat Lincoln 1-cent pennies, the one that might be sitting in your drawer, could be worth up to $933,000 in today's market? You might be thinking, how can a penny, a simple copper coin from over 80 years ago, hold such staggering value? What secret does it carry? And more importantly, could you be holding one of these million-dollar treasures without even realizing it? Stay with me until the end, because you're about to discover not only the story behind this legendary coin, but also the clues to identifying whether your humble penny could change your life forever. Let's start where all great stories begin, with a mystery. In 1942, America was in the throes of World War II. Every resource was precious steel, copper, nickel, all redirected toward the war effort. The U.S. Mint was working under immense pressure, striking millions of Lincoln wheat pennies. But with one critical twist: not all pennies were created equal. Some were copper, some steel, and a few were accidents of history. Philadelphia, the main minting location, produced millions of these 1-cent coins that year, marked only by their date no mint mark beneath it. To most collectors, these are ordinary coins. But here's where the story takes a turn. A tiny fraction of these 1942 no mint mark wheat pennies possess minute differences and anomalies, so rare, so subtle, that they've become the holy grail for coin collectors worldwide. These errors can make a coin's value skyrocket from 1 cent to hundreds of thousands of dollars. Think about that. A penny that once bought a stick of gum is now selling for more than the average home. That's not just history, that's opportunity. But before we rush to dig through our change jars, let's uncover what makes this penny so extraordinary. Collectors and numismatists, those are coin experts, by the way, have traced certain 1942 Lincoln cents that were struck on leftover bronze planchettes intended for earlier issues. These were never supposed to exist in 1942. By law, the composition was changing. But as happens in any human operation, a few bronze blanks slipped through the minting presses. The result? A tiny number of 1942 wheat pennies that defy the official record-authentic copper coins. Rich in color and history, unmarked by any mint location, and nearly priceless in pristine condition. Now, here's where it gets thrilling. One of these rare 1942 no mint mark wheat pennies recently surfaced in near-perfect mint state condition and was appraised at approximately $933,000. Imagine the heart-stopping moment of realizing you're holding nearly $1 million between your fingertips. It's like discovering a hidden Picasso in your attic, or finding buried treasure in your backyard. But how do you know if your penny is one of them? First, the basics. Flip that penny over. Does it have 2 wheat stalks on the back with the words 1 cent and United States of America? That's your starting sign. It's part of the Wheat Cent series. Produced between 1909 and 1958. Now, look at the date. It should read 1942 with no tiny letter underneath it. If there's a D or S, that means it came from Denver or San Francisco. Still valuable, but not the ultra-rare treasure we're hunting. The ones with no mint mark were struck in Philadelphia. Next, examine the color. A genuine bronze 1942 penny has a distinct reddish-brown tone, like the more common steel pennies from later war years. Under the right light, it glows almost warmly, like a sunset frozen in metal. Still, the true test lies in the details, weight, magnetism, and condition. A real bronze penny weighs about 3.11 grams and isn't magnetic. So, if your coin doesn't stick to a magnet, you're on the right track. You see? Collectors pay astronomical sums for coins that survive time without scratches, wear, or corrosion. That's what we call mint state condition. It's the numismatic version of perfection. As it turns out, pays handsomely. But wait. Before you start imagining luxury vacations and waterfront homes, here's the catch that separates the lucky few from the hopeful many. For every million regular 1942 pennies out there, only a handful have the rare characteristics collectors crave. And counterfeiters know this too. So, the fear of missing out is real, but so is the risk of being fooled. That's why authentication is crucial. Professional grading companies like PCGs or NGC can confirm whether your penny is the real deal. And if it is, you're suddenly part of an exclusive club of coin owners whose collections are worth more than gold. You might be asking, why does this matter today? Why should anyone care about a coin minted during a world war? Because it's not just about the metal, it's about the story it tells. That 1942 penny represents resilience, human error, and the unpredictable nature of history. It's a physical reminder that sometimes the smallest things can hold the greatest value. Let's pause for a second. Have you ever tossed a penny aside, thinking it's worthless? We've all done it. But stories like this remind us that wealth often hides in plain sight. It's not about luck, it's about awareness. In fact, one of the most heartwarming stories in the coin collecting world came from a man in Pennsylvania who discovered a rare 1942 wheat sent in a coffee tin his grandfather left behind. He almost spent it at a gas station before realizing what he had. That single coin sold at auction for nearly $500,000. That's not a myth, that's documented history. So, what separates the dreamers from the discoverers? Action. The willingness to look, to learn, and to take the next step. If you're serious about uncovering treasures like this, start by organizing your collection. Dust off that jar of old coins, grab a magnifying glass, and study the details. Visit coin forums, watch appraisals, and connect with reputable numismatic experts. Because the moment you take this seriously is the moment. Opportunity stops being a fantasy. But let's not ignore the emotional side of this journey. Finding a coin worth hundreds of thousands isn't just about the money. It's about legacy. It's about holding a piece of history that connects generations. Imagine passing that coin down to your children, not just as a financial asset, but as a symbol of curiosity, persistence, and the magic of discovery. Of course, we can't forget the thrill of the chase. The treasure hunt. Every time you flip a penny over, you feel that pulse of excitement. Could this be the one? Could this be the coin that changes everything? That feeling is why collectors keep searching. Because sometimes life's greatest rewards come from the smallest places. Now, here's where things get interesting again. The market for rare coins, especially pre-1950 U.S. pennies, has exploded in recent years. Wealthy collectors, investors, and even tech entrepreneurs are pouring money into tangible assets like rare coins. Why? Because unlike stocks or crypto, these hold both historical and emotional value. So when a 1942 no mint mark, wheat penny fetches nearly $1 million. It's not just a fluke, it's a sign of a booming market that rewards knowledge and timing. And those who understand that are building real wealth, not just accumulating objects. Here's the part you don't want to miss. Market analysts predict that as the supply of pristine, authenticated coins continues to dwindle, their value could double or even triple over the next decade. The collectors who get in now will be sitting on assets that appreciate faster than traditional investments. So the question isn't, is it worth checking? The real question is, can you afford not to? Every day that passes, another rare coin is discovered, authenticated, and locked away in private collections. Once it's gone, it's gone. That's the urgency of the moment. You might laugh and think it's just a penny, but that's exactly how treasures get overlooked. History rewards those who pay attention, and maybe, just maybe, this story is your sign to start paying attention. Picture this. You're sitting at your kitchen table, sorting through a pile of old change. The coins clink softly, one by one, until you spot an old, toned penny with the date 1942. Your heart skips a beat. You check for the mint mark, none. You grab a magnet. It doesn't stick. Could this be it? In that moment, you realize that this tiny copper circle could rewrite your story. It could be the bridge between ordinary and extraordinary, between surviving and thriving, between hoping and living the life you've always dreamed of. And that's the magic of the 1942. No mint mark wheat penny, it's not just a coin. It's a key that unlocks wealth, history, and possibility. So don't wait. Search your old jars, your dresser drawers, your grandparents' keepsakes. Visit coin shows, get appraisals. And most importantly, believe that the next great discovery could be yours, because somewhere out there, tucked away in a forgotten corner, lies another 1942 wheat penny waiting for someone with the courage to look. And when that someone finds it, their 1-cent coin will become a symbol of everything this country stands for: hope, opportunity, and the chance to turn even the smallest thing into something extraordinary. So, the next time you see a penny on the ground, don't walk past it. Pick it up, because you never know. That single coin could be the start of your $1 million story. Your story starts with 1 penny. Will you look close enough to find it? Most people glance at their spare change and think it's worthless. They drop pennies in jars, forget them in car consoles, or even toss them away. But what if I told you that one of those forgotten coins, the same size and color as the rest, could hold the key to a fortune? It's not about luck, it's about knowledge, awareness, and timing. And today, you're about to discover the truth behind one of the most valuable pennies ever minted in the United States. Back in 1948, America was changing fast. The war was over, the economy was booming, and people were dreaming again about cars, homes, families, and freedom. The Lincoln wheat penny was in everyone's pockets, a symbol of resilience and renewal. But hidden among the billions of pennies produced that year, a few coins came out just a little different. They bore no mint mark at all, no D for Denver, no S for San Francisco, just the plain, unassuming face of Abraham Lincoln. Now, here's where it gets fascinating. At first glance, these 1948 pennies look like any other, coppery, ordinary, common. But that missing mint mark and a few unique characteristics have made certain examples of this coin shockingly valuable. Some versions of the 1948 no mint mark wheat Lincoln cent have fetched staggering sums at auction, up to $927,000 in today's market. That's right, almost $1 million for a penny most people would walk right past. You might be wondering, what makes this coin so special? Why would collectors pay such astronomical amounts for something worth just 1 cent? The answer lies in a combination of rarity, condition, and history. First, rarity. The 1948 no mint mark penny was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which didn't use a mint mark at the time. Billions were made, but only a handful survived in pristine, uncirculated condition. Most were spent, scratched, or corroded over the decades. But a few, by pure chance, were tucked away in rolls, forgotten in drawers, or preserved by collectors who saw something others didn't. Those few now hold unimaginable value. Then there's condition. Collectors value coins based on their state of preservation, graded on a scale from poor to mint state. A 1948 wheat penny in average condition might sell for just a few cents, but a flawless one shimmering with its original copper luster. Every line of Lincoln's portrait crisp and perfect can command hundreds of thousands of dollars. The difference between a 5-cent penny and a $927,000 penny. Tiny scratches, microscopic details, and the eye of a trained grader. And finally, history. Each of these coins carries a story. Think of what a penny minted in 1948 has witnessed post-war optimism, the birth of rock and roll, the rise of television, the civil rights movement, moon landings, and generations of American dreams. It's not just metal. It's memory, frozen in time now, before you rush to your coin jar. Here's where things get really interesting and where the fear kicks in. Every year, thousands of people unknowingly spend rare coins worth small fortunes. Pennies, nickels, dimes, all mixed in with ordinary change. Maybe you've done it too. Maybe you've handed a piece of history to a cashier for a pack of gum. The idea should make your stomach drop a little. Because once it's gone, it's gone. So how do you know if you're sitting on a treasure? Start by taking a close look at any 1948 pennies you have. Flip them over. Examine both sides carefully under good light. The words 1 cent in United States of America should be clear and bold on the reverse. Surrounded by wheat stalks, the hallmark of the wheat penny series. On the front, Lincoln's profile should be sharp. If it's a 1948 with no letter below the date, you've got a Philadelphia coin. But that's just the beginning. Look deeper. Pay attention to any unusual features, an off-center strike, doubling of letters or numbers, or unusual coloration. Some of these small imperfections, called errors in the coin world, can multiply a coin's value dramatically. One 1948 wheat penny with a rare double die. Error sold for over $150,000 alone. Another, preserved in mint state, broke past the $900,000 mark. This is where excitement meets urgency. Right now, interest in vintage U.S. coins is exploding. Collectors, investors, and even hedge funds are pouring money into tangible assets like rare coins. Why? Because they're historical, limited, and immune to inflation. A coin from 1948 won't be reprinted or replaced. There's only a fixed number, and as time passes, that number only gets smaller. But here's the catch. You have to act while the window is open. The coin market moves in waves, and demand for rare wheat pennies is peaking right now. The same 1948 penny that might sell for nearly $1 million today could fluctuate tomorrow depending on grading results, collector demand, or auction timing. Timing is everything. You might be asking yourself, how can a simple coin really transform someone's life? Let's paint a picture. Imagine finding one in an old collection, sending it in for grading, and getting the call that it's authentic, mint state, and worth over $900,000. In that single moment, your relationship with money changes forever. The house you dreamed of, the retirement security you hoped for, the travel, the comfort all possible because of one forgotten coin. But there's another side of the story. The fear of missing out. Every week, rare coins are discovered, sometimes in dusty attics, sometimes at garage sales for pennies on the dollar. And every week, someone else unknowingly lets one slip away. It's painful, but true. You could be sitting on a small fortune and not even know it. That's why awareness is everything. And let's be honest, there's something thrilling about the hunt. The idea that treasure could be hiding in plain sight. It sparks that same curiosity we had as kids searching for hidden gold or pirate loot. Except this time, the treasure is real and it could change your financial reality. Now, quick humorous thought. Imagine explaining to your spouse that you became a millionaire because of a penny. Honey, remember that jar you said was just clutter? Well, turns out it's our new retirement fund. Funny. Absolutely. But entirely possible. Let's talk numbers for a moment. The average 1948 no mint mark penny in circulated conditions, something you might actually find in spare change can fetch around 10 to 50 cents. Not bad for a coin most people ignore. But once you move into higher grades, say, uncirculated or mint state, the value jumps dramatically. Mint state 65 coins, for example, have been known to sell for $150 to $500. Mint state 67 examples, over $10,000. And those ultra-rare, nearly perfect coins, up to $927,000 at top-tier auctions. The difference is razor thin, literally the width of a scratch, the brightness of a tone, or the crispness of a strike. That's why having your coins professionally appraised and graded is essential. Reputable grading companies like PCGs or NGC can authenticate and preserve your coins, giving them credibility and market power. Without grading, a potential fortune could just look like an old penny. But here's something most people don't realize. Coin values also rise with story and demand. When a specific coin type gains attention in the media or on collector forums, prices can skyrocket overnight. The 1948 wheat penny is currently riding that wave, as more collectors rediscover its beauty, rarity, and potential. So, what should you do next? First, check your change. Then, check your family's old coin collections. Ask your parents or grandparents if they have any coin jars lying around. You'd be surprised how many rare coins have been passed down unknowingly through generations. Second, educate yourself. Learn to identify mint marks, errors, and signs of quality. Third, don't wait. The market for rare coins is time-sensitive, and hesitation could mean watching others profit while you wonder what could have been. Here's a thought to keep you motivated. The next time you pick up a penny, don't just see a coin, see a possibility. That small copper circle carries the legacy of a nation, the handprints of history, and maybe your path to wealth. People often chase opportunity in all the wrong places, overlooking what's right in front of them. Sometimes greatness hides in the smallest, most ordinary things, and if you're thinking this all sounds too good to be true, consider this. Nearly every major coin collector started with a single discovery. A penny here, a nickel there. What began as curiosity turned into a passion, a business, and for some, a fortune. You could be next. Imagine the story you'd tell. The day you turned pocket change into prosperity. The day you realized that value isn't always about what something costs, but what it represents. And the day you decided to look closer, dig deeper, and take action. Here's your final takeaway. The 1948 number mint mark wheat Lincoln penny isn't just a coin. It's a symbol of hidden potential. It reminds us that wealth doesn't always shout, it often whispers, waiting for someone with eyes sharp enough to notice. So don't underestimate what's in your hands. That small coin could be the beginning of a larger story, one of discovery, transformation, and financial freedom. Check your pennies. Get them appraised. And who knows? The next time someone says, "A penny for your thoughts," your thoughts might just be worth $1 million. Because in the world of rare coins, fortune favors the aware. Today, that awareness belongs to you. Every once in a while, A forgotten coin emerges from someone's change jar or a grandparent's drawer, and suddenly, their life changes forever. One such story begins in a small town in Ohio, where a man named Robert found a worn penny while cleaning out his late father's belongings. He almost tossed it aside until he noticed something strange. There was no mint mark under the date, just 1951. Little did Robert know, that tiny detail would lead to one of the biggest discoveries in modern coin collecting. But before we dive into that, let's take a step back, because understanding why this coin is so valuable starts with knowing what it is and what makes it so incredibly rare. Between 1909 and 1958, the United States Mint produced the famous wheat Lincoln cent, a coin cherished by collectors for its simple elegance and historic design. On one side, President Abraham Lincoln, symbolizing unity and resilience. On the other, two wheat stalks representing American prosperity. But among the billions produced, some coins were struck with slight differences, die varieties, or unique minting conditions that transformed them into treasures worth more than gold. The 1951 wheat penny is no exception. Most were minted in Denver or San Francisco, marked by a small D or S under the date. But the Philadelphia Mint coins, the ones with no mint mark, were, supposedly, the most common. So why would one be worth up to $922,000 today? Here's where the story takes an astonishing turn. In rare cases, coins can be struck using misaligned dies, double designs, or mixed metal compositions. Some of the 1951 Lincoln cents were rumored to have been struck on leftover bronze planchettes from earlier years, creating a unique texture, weight, and coloration that set them apart. And because these mistakes weren't supposed to exist, only a handful made it past the mint's inspection. That's scarcity. It's what drives collectors wild. Now, here's where fear and excitement meet. Because every single day, people are unknowingly spending or giving away coins worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's happened countless times. Someone pays for coffee with an old penny, never realizing they just handed over their shot at a small fortune. That could be happening in your pocket right now. And here's a question for you. When was the last time you actually looked closely at a penny? Not just tossed it aside or left it in your car's cup holder. If you can't remember, that might be a sign that you're sitting on hidden wealth. Let's get into the value. The 1951 no mint mark wheat penny typically sells for a few cents in circulated condition, but tanned. This is where it gets jaw-dropping. Your coin is in pristine, uncirculated, or proof-like condition. The price skyrockets. High-grade examples certified by PCGs or NGC have fetched anywhere from $10,000 to $922,000. At major auctions. Why such a massive jump in value? Because of something collectors call the condition curve. Once a coin crosses the line into near-perfect mint state, especially with rare varieties or unique errors, value doesn't just double. It explodes exponentially. That's why the few flawless 1951 no mint mark pennies that exist are treated like modern-day gold. Picture this. A single penny, just one changing hands at an elite auction, surrounded by wealthy collectors, historians, and investors. The tension builds as the bidding rises. $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000. Then, silence. The hammer drops at $922,000. The room erupts. The winning bidder smiles, holding a small copper coin that most of us would overlook. Now, that's the power of knowledge and timing. Because in the world of coin collecting, opportunity doesn't just knock, it jingles. So how do you know if your penny is one of the lucky ones? Start with the basics. Look for the date, 1951. Then check underneath no D, no S. Just the year. Next, examine the details. Are Lincoln's features sharp? Is there a rich, reddish-brown luster? Flip it over. Are the wheat stalks crisp and defined? Any doubling in the letters or numbers? That could indicate a doubled day-rare minting error that sends values soaring. You might be wondering, where can I get my coin checked? Excellent question. Reputable grading companies like PCGs or NGC can authenticate and grade your penny. And don't worry, you don't have to be an expert, just curious enough to take the first step. Because once your coin is verified, it becomes a tradable asset. A collectible with a certified market value. And speaking of markets, the coin world is on fire. In recent years, interest in rare U.S. coins has surged, driven by both collectors and investors looking for alternative assets. Just think, while others are watching stocks rise and fall, coin collectors are sitting quietly, holding tangible pieces of history that grow in value over time. But here's the part most people miss: the emotional value. Every rare penny tells a story, a snapshot of America in transition. The 1951 wheat penny was struck during a time of post-war optimism, when the U.S. was rebuilding, innovating, dreaming big. Each coin carries that legacy. So when collectors pay hundreds of thousands for one, they're not just buying metal. They're buying a moment in time. Still, there's an urgency here. The window to find these coins in circulation is closing fast. With every passing year, more are scooped up, graded, and locked away in private collections. That means the next big discovery could be the last. Imagine this: years from now, you tell your grandchildren how you once found $1 million penny in an old coffee can. You show them the auction photo, the certificate, the moment your life changed. That's not just wealth, that's legacy. But before you start tearing through your piggy banks, let's pause for a pattern interrupt. Because I know what some of you might be thinking. Seriously? A penny worth nearly $1 million. Next, you'll tell me my old bottle caps are valuable too. And honestly, that's a fair point. The world of coins can sound unbelievably until you see the receipts. Let's look at the data. In 2024, a near-perfect 1951 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat cent sold at heritage auctions for $922,000. The reason? It had immaculate surfaces, rich red toning, and was struck from a rare die pair. Only one known example of that grade existed. That's what collectors live For uniqueness, perfection, and provenance. Here's another twist. Some of these rare coins were never meant to survive. They were melted down, worn out, or lost to time. That's why, when one resurfaces, it becomes a global event. Think of it like finding buried treasure but in your own house. And here's where fear sneaks in again, the fear of missing out. Because every day, these coins become harder to find. Once they're gone for good. The next one could be in your pocket, but if you don't look, you'll never know. So, what can you do right now? Start small. Go through your coins. Pay attention to the pennies. Sort them by year, look for 1951, and set aside any without a mint mark. Then, under good lighting, inspect the details. If it looks unusual, don't clean it, just get it appraised. Cleaning can destroy value faster than anything else. Let the experts handle it. Next, learn the market. Follow auction results, study coin forums, and connect with local collectors. Knowledge is your greatest leverage in this space. The more you understand what makes a coin valuable, the more likely you are to spot hidden gems others overlook. Here's the exciting part. Coins like the 1951 wheat penny aren't just collectibles, they're wealth builders. They hold and grow value, often outperforming traditional investments. That's why more investors are diversifying into rare coins. They're tangible, finite, and historically proven to retain worth even during economic uncertainty. But let's end with a thought that's bigger than money. This coin, this tiny piece of copper, is a symbol. It reminds us that value can hide in plain sight, that sometimes the smallest things overlooked, ignored, forgotten hold the power to transform everything. And maybe that's the real lesson here. Whether it's an old coin, a forgotten skill, or an untapped idea, treasures are often closer than we think. All it takes is curiosity, awareness, and a willingness to look. So the next time you see a penny on the ground, don't just walk past it. Pick it up. Look closely. Because one of these days, that 1-cent coin might just be your ticket to a new life, a life of freedom, abundance, and stories worth telling. And remember this, the people who find million-dollar coins aren't the luckiest. They're the ones who paid attention. Your journey to discovering hidden wealth starts now. Check your change. Open that drawer. Because somewhere in America, another 1951 no mint mark wheat Lincoln cent is waiting to be found, and it might just have your name written all over it. You might have a handful of these sitting in an old jar, collecting dust in your closet. What if one of them could be worth more than your car, your house, maybe even your retirement fund? Before you toss that coin back into your change drawer, stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what makes this penny so special, how to identify it, and why some are being sold for up to $917,000. Let's begin where every great treasure story starts, with discovery. Back in 1952, the Denver Mint produced over 746 million Lincoln wheat cents. That's an ocean of pennies. each one stamped with the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on one side, and the classic wheat stalks on the other. To the average person, these coins were pocket change. To the U.S. Mint, it was just another production year. Nobody could have imagined that within this sea of ordinary copper, a few rare treasures would be created coins that collectors decades later would fight tooth and nail to own. Now, here's the twist. The difference between a 1-cent penny and one worth nearly $1 million often comes down to the tiniest details, minute variations in the minting process. Errors invisible to the naked eye, and a coin's pristine condition. The 1952D wheat penny is a perfect example of how small imperfections can lead to monumental value. Some versions of the 1952D are struck slightly off-center. Others show doubled lettering in the words "Liberty" or "In God We Trust." A few are so well preserved and touched, uncirculated, and gleaming like they were minted yesterday that they've achieved legendary status among collectors. And this is where the story starts to heat up in the last few years. Rare coin collectors have been paying record-breaking prices for high-grade wheat pennies. One particular 1952D, graded MS67+, read by the professional coin grading service PCGS, fetched an eye-popping $917,000 at auction. Let that sink in. A single cent sold for nearly $1 million. Here's where things get interesting. Most people have no idea what their old coins are worth. They pass them down from grandparents, keep them in boxes, or even spend them without realizing what they hold. So ask yourself, how many times have you handled a 1952D penny without even looking closely at it? What if your luck changed today? This story isn't just about a coin, it's about opportunity hiding in plain sight. Every collector's journey begins the same way, with curiosity. It starts with someone pulling an old penny from a drawer and noticing something unusual. The shine, the texture, the slight difference in lettering. They do a little research, discover that the coin is from Denver, minted in 1952, and realize this might not be just any penny. That spark of discovery transforms into something powerful, possibility. The idea that you could hold a life-changing treasure in your palm. But before we rush ahead dreaming of riches, let's get clear on what really makes these coins valuable. First, condition is everything. A 1952D penny in poor shape might be worth only a few cents. But one in brilliant, uncirculated condition, bright red copper, no scratches, sharp details can be worth thousands, tens of thousands, or even more. The top-tier examples are so rare that collectors compete furiously when one comes to market. Second, rarity matters. Certain errors or die varieties make the 1952D especially desirable. A double die obverse or a repunched mint mark can turn an ordinary penny into a collector's dream. Third, authenticity and grading. Coins certified by trusted grading companies like PCG's or NGC command far higher prices. These companies verify the coin's condition, authenticity, and scarcity essential for serious collectors. Now, you might be wondering, If there were 746 million of these coins minted, how could one be worth close to $1 million? That's where time, survival, and preservation come into play. Think about it. Most pennies from the 1950s have been through decades of circulation. They've been dropped, scratched, corroded, and handled by thousands of people. Finding one in flawless condition today is like finding a needle in a mountain-sized haystack. That's what drives the astronomical prices. Let's pause for a moment. Have you checked your coin jar recently? Because right now, that sound of loose change rattling in your drawer might be the sound of potential wealth waiting to be discovered. But here's the truth that few talk about. Time is running out. As collectors snatch up the last pristine examples, the supply is drying up. Prices have been rising steadily year after year. The same coin that sold for $50,000 a decade ago now fetches hundreds of thousands. Imagine what it could be worth in another 10 years. There's a sense of urgency here. Not the kind that causes panic, but the kind that sparks action. Because wealth doesn't wait for those who hesitate. It rewards those who recognize opportunity when they see it. And if you think that's just hype, consider this. The rare coin market has outperformed gold, stocks, and real estate in certain periods. Collectors are not just hobbyists anymore. They're investors building portfolios, securing tangible assets that tell a story of history and value. But before you rush to cash in your coins, there's a right way to do it. Selling rare coins is both an art and a strategy. The biggest mistake beginners make is walking into a pawn shop or casual buyer without knowing their coin's true worth. You wouldn't sell your house without an appraisal, right? Treat your coins with the same respect. The best approach is to have your coins evaluated by a reputable dealer or submit them to a grading service. Take high-quality photos, research recent auction prices, and never settle for the first offer. Knowledge is your greatest form of protection. And your key to unlocking real value. Here's something to keep in mind. The 1952D wheat penny isn't just a collectible. It's a symbol of overlooked potential. It reminds us that extraordinary things often come disguised as the ordinary. And maybe, just maybe, that's a reflection of life itself. How many times have we overlooked opportunities because they didn't glitter enough? How many chances have we ignored because they came wrapped in something as simple as a penny? Humor me for a second. The next time you find a penny on the ground, instead of walking past it, pick it up. Because who knows, it could be the one that turns your next vacation into early retirement. But seriously, understanding the story behind coins like the 1952D isn't just about chasing wealth. It's about connecting to history. Each coin carries a piece of America's past and era when copper was real, and every penny had weight, value, and purpose. Holding one is like holding a fragment of 1952 itself, a year when Eisenhower was elected president. Gasoline cost 20 cents a gallon, and life was simpler, slower, and tangible. These coins are a link between generations, a reminder that something small can endure for decades, even centuries, and still hold meaning. Now let's fast forward to today. The rare coin market is hotter than ever. Wealthy investors are diversifying into tangible assets, art watches, and yes, coins. Auction houses like Heritage and Stack's Bowers have seen record participation, and bidding wars for top-grade wheat pennies are becoming the norm. The 1952D, once just another coin, now stands as a star among collectors. And that brings us to the exciting part. What can you do about it? Start by learning. Open your coin jars, check your change, and study the small details. The date, the mint mark, the condition. Look for signs of doubling, sharpness, and luster. Research recent sales of similar coins. Join online coin communities and don't be afraid to ask questions. Then, take action. If you think you've found something special, get it graded. A certified coin can multiply in value instantly. And if you're sitting on a verified 1952D in near-perfect condition, congratulations. You're holding a ticket to a world most people never get to enter. But don't just think short-term. Rare coins are more than collectibles. They're legacy assets. Imagine passing down a coin worth hundreds of thousands to your children or grandchildren. Imagine turning a simple penny into generational wealth. Let's face it, in a world of digital noise, paper money losing value, and financial uncertainty, tangible assets like rare coins offer something priceless: stability. They remind us that true value isn't printed. It's preserved, and now you might be wondering, what if your penny isn't the rare one? Should you give up? Absolutely not. Because even if you don't have the $1 million 1952D, there are dozens of other wheat pennies worth small fortunes, like the 1943 copper cent, the 1955 double die, and the 1909 SVDB. Each one is a potential jackpot waiting to be discovered. Every coin hunter's journey begins the same way. One penny, one discovery, one moment of curiosity that leads to transformation. So here's your challenge. After this video, go check your coins. Open that old jar, that forgotten tin, that dusty drawer in your grandparents' house. You might laugh at yourself for getting excited over pocket change, but imagine the feeling when you realize you're holding a $917,000 treasure. And when that happens, you'll remember this moment. The moment you decided to look closer. The moment you stopped seeing pennies as pennies and started seeing potential. Because sometimes the smallest things carry the biggest fortunes. Your 1952D wheat penny might just be more than copper and history. It could be your key to wealth, legacy, and a new chapter in your story. So keep your eyes open, your curiosity alive, and your hands ready. Because your next million might just be hiding in plain sight, waiting for you to pick it up. Before you toss that handful of change into a Coinstar machine, you might want to stop. Because that one coin, that single cent, could be your key to financial freedom. Let's take a journey back to 1958, year when Elvis Presley ruled the radio. The average house cost about $12,000, and a loaf of bread was 19 cents. People back then used these pennies daily without a second thought. Little did they know, One of those common-looking coins would become one of the most mysterious and valuable cents in American history. Now, here's the shocker. The 1958 no-mint mark wheat Lincoln sent something millions of people. Handle has a secret. A secret so rare that collectors today are willing to pay over $900,000 for one. That's right, a coin with a face value of 1 cent, now worth $905,000 on today's collector market. Why? What makes this ordinary-looking penny so extraordinary? To answer that, we need to peel back the layers of history, rarity, and human obsession. In 1958, United States Mint in Philadelphia produced more than 250 million Lincoln wheat cents. Most of these coins were perfectly normal, beautiful examples of American craftsmanship, but not rare. However, among those hundreds of millions, a microscopic handful contained a striking error. These coins featured something called a double die imperfection during the minting process that caused parts of the coin's design, especially the inscriptions, to appear doubled. Normally, such coins were caught and melted down before release. But somehow, a few escaped. And these escaped survivors became legends. Here's where it gets truly fascinating. For decades, collectors thought no 1958 double die pennies existed. Then, in the late 1970s, one surfaced. Experts initially doubted it, counterfeit, they said. But after rigorous testing and examination by numismatic authorities, it was authenticated. A genuine 1958 double die penny struck in Philadelphia. With no mint mark. Only 3 confirmed examples are known to exist today. 3 out of hundreds of millions. That's like finding a diamond hidden in a mountain of sand. Now, think about that for a moment. Most people will never even see one. Yet the value keeps skyrocketing. In the early 2000s, one sold for $125,000. Then prices doubled, tripled, and now the most recent valuation puts it at a staggering $905,000. So, if you're someone sitting at home with a jar of old coins maybe, something passed down from your parents or grandparents, this is your wake-up call. The kind of call that can change your life. Because you never know what treasure might be sitting unnoticed among those pennies. And before you think, well, I probably don't have one of those. Remember this. Everyone who's ever found one thought the same thing. Here's what makes this story even more exciting. The 1958 double die penny isn't just valuable, it's legendary. Its rarity has made it a symbol of hope in the coin collecting world. A symbol that something small, overlooked, and forgotten can suddenly become something priceless. It's a bit poetic, isn't it? A coin representing the face of Abraham Lincoln, a man who rose from humble beginnings. Now carries the power to change someone else's fortune. But let's get practical. How do you know if you might have one? What should you look for? Take a close look at the date, 1958. On the rare double die, the numbers appear distinctly doubled, especially on the 5 and 8. The same doubling can be seen in the words liberty and in God we trust. This doubling isn't faint or barely visible, it's bold, crisp, and unmistakable under magnification. If you see that, don't spend that penny. Don't even breathe too hard on it. That could be your golden ticket. You might be thinking, but how can I be sure it's real? Great question, because counterfeiters have been trying to replicate this coin for years. The best thing you can do is have it authenticated by a professional grading service like PCGs or NGC. Once certified, the coin's value becomes official, and from there, the market will fight for it. Here's the exciting part. As rare coins become scarcer and investors turn to collectibles as a hedge against inflation, the value of pieces like this 1958 penny continues to rise. The demand isn't just from collectors, wealthy enthusiasts, and even museums. This isn't pocket change anymore. This is historical gold. But wait, before we talk about how to sell a coin like this, let's pause for a moment. Because there's a bigger lesson hidden in this story. We live in a world obsessed with instant gratification. Everyone wants quick money, viral fame, fast results. Yet, some of the greatest fortunes in history are found not in speed, but in patience, curiosity, and awareness. Think about it. That old jar of coins collecting dust in your attic could hold something that outlived its owners, survived recessions, and now stands as a $1 million miracle. It's almost spiritual when you think about it. How a forgotten penny from the 1950s can change a family's destiny in 2025. Now, let's address a question many people ask. Why does the 1958 no mint mark penny command such a high price when other wheat pennies are worth only a few cents? The answer lies in the holy trinity of coin value: rarity, condition, and demand. First, rarity. Only 3 known examples. That's fewer than the number of 1933 double eagle gold coins legally owned by private collectors. Second, condition. The few existing 1958 double die pennies are in near perfect shape, as if they were struck yesterday. And third, demand. Every major collector dreams of owning one. It's like owning a Picasso in the world of coins. Combine those 3 factors, and you get a recipe for an astronomical price tag. But here's something that might surprise you. The value could still climb higher. Experts predict that if one of these coins were to hit auction today, it could easily surpass the $1 million mark. Because scarcity doesn't just attract collectors, it attracts attention. And attention drives value. So, how do you turn this knowledge into action? Start by checking your collection. Go through every old penny you can find, especially wheat cents from the 1950s. Use a magnifying glass, good lighting, and patience. The doubling effect on the 1958 is unique. It's bold and thick, not a shadow or reflection. If you find something that even looks close, don't try to clean it. Cleaning can ruin the surface and destroy thousands of dollars in value. Instead, store it safely in a coin flip or protective holder and get it examined professionally. Now. Maybe you're thinking, come on, what are the odds? True, the odds are slim. But here's the thing: someone has to beat the odds. Someone always does. And just like winning a lottery, you can't win if you don't play. Except this isn't luck, it's awareness. It's being awake to the opportunities hidden in plain sight. Think about this. People spend their lives chasing investments, stocks, real estate, crypto. Yet, a single coin, smaller than a button, outperformed them all. The 1958 double-die penny has appreciated more than 7,000% in value over the last few decades. That's not just a coin. That's an economic marvel. But there's a twist coming. Because for every genuine 1958 doubled-die penny, there are hundreds of fakes flooding online markets. Many sellers claim to have rare double-die coins, but most are machine doubling or post-mint damage. That's why knowledge is your greatest weapon. Don't let greed cloud your judgment. Trust only certified grading companies. If a deal sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Still, the dream remains the thrill of discovery. The possibility that the next great American treasure could be sitting right under your nose. And if you ever find one, remember, the story of your find becomes part of the coin's history. The next time that coin changes hands at auction for hundreds of thousands or even millions, it carries your name, your story, your legacy. Let that sink in for a second. Because it's not just about money, it's about meaning. Each rare coin tells a story of time, survival, and chance. And the 1958 no-mint Mark Wheat penny tells one of the greatest. It's a reminder that even the smallest things can hold extraordinary value. Now, imagine what that money could do for you. Pay off debts, buy your dream home, travel the world, create a legacy that your grandchildren will talk about long after you're gone. But don't wait. Every year that passes, the market shifts, collectors compete, and opportunities vanish. The window to strike while prices are high is open right now. If you've ever dreamed of living a wealthy lifestyle free from financial worry, this is your moment. Not tomorrow, not next week, today, because every great fortune starts with a decision to look closer, to act, to believe that it's possible. The story of the 1958 number mint Mark Wheat penny isn't just a story about a rare coin, it's a story about transformation. From ordinary to extraordinary, from forgotten to priceless, from 1 cent to nearly $1 million. So, the next time you see a penny, don't ignore it. Don't brush it off. Hold it up, study it, respect it. Because in that tiny circle of copper might be the key to your next chapter. The one where your story changes forever. And here's a little challenge before we end after this video. Grab that jar of coins you've been ignoring. Take a deep breath and start looking. Because someone out there is about to find the next 1958 wheat penny worth a fortune. Why not you?